From the loft of the Caskey Lodge in Kalkaska, Michigan, it's the Rollreecepodcast. And here he is, Rollreece! Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the Rollreecepodcast. I'm Rollreece, and as usual, we're here at the loft of the Caskey Lodge, having a great time. You know, we're getting ready for Trout Fest here. I know Ronnie and Denise and everyone, they've been kind of talking it up from their own little station around here, and as usual, I get a lot of questions about him, and he's here, Ricky. You know, he's doing what he can do. You know, he did already get us our beers and stuff, and he's kind of just playing the wall. He's over by the side, and he's having a good time. And we're just having a great day out here in Kalkaska. Sun's shining, and we're doing our thing. Denise was kind of, telling us, hey, maybe it would be easier if you guys just had a cooler there by the table instead of you constantly asking me for drinks I don't get. And we thought, great idea. So now we got the Caskey Lodge official cooler here by the side. We got some beers. And I'm just proud to be, have as a guest here, one of the local legends, if you will, of the area, if not only for playing harmonica, but, working at a power plant, the Traverse City Light and Power thing, and, boating, water skiing. He's done a little bit of everything. Lodge entrepreneur, we're doing the store, all these different things. My dad, Roger Strauss. Hey, thanks for being here, Dad. Appreciate it. It's everyone's, I got to say, you're the most requested guest of all the requests I've had. You are the most requested guest.
Ray, I'll tell you right now, man, I feel honored, very honored to be on your show here. And I had no idea that it was this sophisticated. I'm looking at some equipment here now that shows you the different sound levels and the microphones and the speakers. I've seen this in Chicago before. I've been in the studio, and I had to adapt to it a little bit more. It's different than playing live because you can actually see the different sound levels and the parameters that you have to play within. But talking like this, I'm just glad you don't have video. But I'll promise.
Everyone's glad about that. A few people have said, yes, will you ever be getting video? No, never. You don't want to see this. No one wants to see this. I'm under a deer ass, for the love of God. And by the way, since we're here in the Caskey Lodge, I don't have their permission to film here. So, as long as we're here in the Caskey Lodge, which I'm not leaving, I'm in the janitor's closet on that cot. This is where I live. So, and just to let people know, my dad has offered, to help me. I said, no, I got to make my own way. And so, I'm not doing too bad. Yes, I am living in the janitor's closet here at the Caskey Lodge, but I'm making it work. I'm not going hungry. So I just want to let people know, help has been offered, but I've rejected it. I'm doing my own way, just to let you, no guilt.
And there should be no guilt, because I'll tell you right now, that is one heck of a nice janitor's closet.
Oh, it's beautiful. They wring that mop out. It doesn't smell. They wring it out.
It's a very clean slop sink. Very rarely do you see that. And there's still enough room for you to lay down and sleep there, which is okay.
It's not bad.
So I'm proud of you there, Ray.
But you were just thank you very much. I'm working my way up to maybe a walk-up apartment in downtown Caskey. That's what I'm looking towards. So, I'm going to try for something like that. We'll see if I can get there. But, you were just talking about Chicago and your time down there. That's just an interesting story. What even brought you down there in the first place? How did you even end up because you were there for 8 years, is that right?
Yes, almost 8 years, 7.5 years, but I loved it down in Chicago. And when I first got to Chicago, I was driving down the Dan Ryan, and just the city opened up. You had the lake, and then you had all the high rises and everything, but I knew that it was home of some real hardcore, Chicago blues. I wasn't really too much into the Delta blues yet, just the Chicago blues. It was a little bit more upbeat, but I loved Muddy Waters. I loved all the Little Walter, all the different, blues artists that I've heard, kind of like the people in Europe.
The legends.
Boy, we really love this blues. And then that's what the music started, and all that blues music came back from Europe. But then I was in the heart of it, right in Chicago. So it was just a real head rush, and I loved to play the harmonica, in that low down.
And at that time, the time you moved to Chicago, how many years had you been playing harmonica at that point?
Oh, heck, let me see. Probably 7, 8, 9 years. I started down in
Well, I'm talking when you moved to Chicago here.
Right. That's what
You've been playing longer than that because you moved to Chicago in 2000, and you started playing harmonica in the 70s.
I moved there in 2000, and I was probably playing for at least, 7 to 10 years. I mean, to say, okay, pick up a harmonica and play Old Susanna, and that type of thing, and aggravate everybody with just some basic, hey, listen to this harmonica playing. But I mean, to actually say, okay, now you can play some good quality music, probably 7, 8 years.
So you're saying you were only playing quality harmonica for 7, 8 years prior to you moving to Chicago?
Where you could play songs and where you could actually play.
So what were you making me listen to when I was a kid? That was the less than quality?
I was testing but what I was saying is...
I was the test audience.
Yes, you kind of liked it too.
Well, we did. I mean, we would always sing along, I remember. We didn't know what we were singing, but...
Well, that's the thing, all of a sudden, at first... Boy, I was kind of like a hero. You were like 7, 8 years old, and man, I was, then all of a sudden you started getting into your teens, and I started becoming an embarrassment to you. Now, why did that happen, Ray?
I don't know. You might have to huddle up with some other parents on that one from that time. I don't know. Kids, we were always, trying to get off into the woods, living in the woods was preferable to being at home to us for some reason at that time. That's just what all my friends did. We're like, we got to get out to the woods, we can just live out there. It'll be fine. There's cans of beans and whatever we can get. But no, I mean, it comes around full circle. We came back, I mean, it's not like I'm still super defiant. I mean, I'm a little defiant, but I'm not as extreme as I was back then, I don't think.
Well, yeah, and like I say, it was great, because, I'd be driving the car, you wouldn't be in the back seat, I'd be singing, and you guys would be all happy.
We'd have 2 or 3 friends in there.
Oh, yeah, and like I say, then all of a sudden, I can't remember the day. I don't know what, time frame it was, but for some reason, I went from being, boy, this is one of the best musicians in the world, and dads, to, you don't know anything.
Well, yeah, that'll hey, I'm hearing it too. I mean, I've known kids. They're in their 20s now. The eye rolls are there. You know what I mean? They don't care what you have to say for. That's fine with me. I get it. I mean, for those of you that are that age, and you're looking at people my age, and you're rolling your eyes, and we're saying stupid things. We are. I mean, you're not wrong. You know what I mean? It's just you got to get through it. It's just a phase in life you got to get through at some point.
I understand completely. And I've always enjoyed being around you and all your friends. Your friends have been great.
They love you.
And I've always thought,
I mean, at your birthday last year, there was a good turnout there. I mean, there was some. I mean, they would. I would tell them, hey, you guys want to come up, hang out with you? But then I was like, well, it's my dad's birthday. Oh, okay, we'll be there, So, I mean, there's more of a draw there than even me. I can't believe it. I can believe it.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. Man, I'll tell you, that's good to hear that, Ray, now that you're 43. And it just seems like you're a little bit more mature. And it's not the days where, now, Dad, this has got to be around the age of 12 or 13. When my friends come over, don't tell any jokes.
Right, yeah, they were.
And Ray, I thought your buddies liked my jokes, man. And for some reason, I got the rude awakening that nobody really liked my jokes.
Now, wait a minute. Now, I will give you an opportunity for redemption here, all right? There is the famous joke that you claim you crafted this joke on the way home, okay? And it had to do with people from a specific country called pedestry. Do you remember this joke?
Oh, no. Oh, yeah.
Okay, are you willing to tell this joke?
That's an original.
Okay, this is a total original. If are you willing to say it right now at a shot for redemption? For everyone who said his jokes weren't good.
Well, I'm going to key it down in Chicago, because Chicago really came to me in Chicago, because I was walking across these streets and I was almost getting hit by cars and that type of thing, and And I know there's a lot of immigrants there. So I go into one of the bars there, and I'm just shooting the bull and, having a good old time. But anyhow, I said, hey, you know what? You see those signs out there? There's, oh yeah, caution, look out. And I said, yeah, that's those people from Pedestry. That's back when Russia was breaking up and everything was being, going into Yugoslavia and Armenia, Romania, everything was, breaking up over there.
Yeah.
And I said, but over there was a country, nothing but ox carts, no traffic or anything, and all the people from Pedestry came over here. And they were kind of lost. They didn't know what to do, and they were almost getting hit by cars all the time and everything. So finally, they put those signs off up there, and it says, caution, pedestrians. Because those people from Pedestry, you had to, be careful of them.
And we as Americans, of course, mispronounce it as pedestrian, right?
Oh, okay. Is that what it is? Okay. Now
But
that
these
would be
dang pedestrians, I'm telling you, they're crossing left and right.
But that would be an
They're getting hit.
example of why he was always saying I was an embarrassment to him.
Hey, I like that one. I don't care. I think you redeemed yourself with that joke.
Well, Ray, a lot of jokes are cultural.
Yes.
I went down south, and that one club we went to, way at the end of the earth, at the end of the bayou. It took a long time to get
Yeah,
back
it was like a
there.
two
Once we
track
got
to
back
get back
there,
down there. Yeah.
you did some Hank Williams Jr. On the karaoke and everything.
And I was amazed because here's the thing: we just came from Bourbon Street. Before this, I'd spent a freaking like a 16-hour tour of drinking on Bourbon Street, doing all the wrong things with the right people. Because I didn't really get in any big trouble, but so anyway, after this Bourbon Street, now we're going to this, it was a bar that was on the bayou, but you had to go down this 2-track for maybe like 2 to 5 miles. I don't know how long we were on.
Yep, at least.
So where was this?
It was back up by Pascagoula, Mississippi, and it was refinery, the Chevron refinery back there, but there was also shipbuilding channel. That's where I worked. I did electrical shipbuilding. Ship with a P, right?
I don't care. It could be a shipbuilding channel, but I was like, hey, we got to get our facts straight. To me, it just sounded like shipbuilding channel. I'm like, hey, what's America working towards all of a sudden?
So I knew it from all the guys at work and everything, but like I say, when you go down there, you're an outsider. You're an outsider, and you have to realize that and be able to adapt to that culture. So I go into this place, and we're talking about the oil rigs and this and that, about drilling at 5,000 feet of water and then going down another 5,000 feet, and all the pressure dynamics and the cutting tools that you use and everything. And we're having a good old time talking about that. And the little redhead comes up. The little redhead lady, she comes up about 50 years old, and she says, "You're a doggone Yankee." Only she didn't say doggone. I don't want to swear on the air here.
You can swear.
But she
It's
said,
fine.
"You're a doggone Yankee, aren't you?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I'm from the North." And she says, "You Yankees think you know everything." And I said, "No, not really." I said, "I'm just, talking here. We're talking about work and everything." And she says, "Well, I bet you don't know this." And I said, "What's that?" She said, "Why did the 3 wise men drive a red truck into Bethlehem?" And I said, "Heck, I don't know." And she said, "Because they came from afar." And I'm over there, yeah, wait a minute. That's a bad, I know they came from afar, but she was saying fire. But with that accent, she said, they came from afar. So everybody's laughing at me, and I'm not in on the joke. Finally, I got it. And a little bit of snot came out of my nose. That's how hard I was laughing, but I had a bar napkin.
Hey, I mean, I had a great time. I mean, it was definitely not what I expected. As any small town bar, including the Oasis, which was Oasis Tavern, which was my hometown bar essentially for a long time, new people would come in and everyone kind of looks at them. Who's this? They're not the normal. And we got a little bit of that. But then once we went in there and sat down, I mean, the lady, she was just a great lady who was the bartender. She took care of me. She saw me as a project because she's like, Oh, he's hungover. We got to get him some food. We got to get him some. And she was giving me these sausages, these homemade sausages, and they were really bringing me back. And then eventually I did recover enough to where, yeah, I was able to sing Country Boy Can't Survive. Well, I don't even know what time of day it was. It must have been like 1 or 2 in the afternoon or something, you know, that I'm singing Country Boy Can't Survive. And this, I mean, it was just an amazing experience. You know, they really welcomed us and you know,
Everybody loved you down there, Ray. It was like you fit right in.
knew
I
you.
thought, that.
And we're back. All right. Sorry, we glitched out a little bit there, but no, sorry. Yeah, I mean, everyone knew you down at that place, mainly. I mean,
Right, but as soon as they came and they saw you and everything, I mean that they kind of thought, oh, hey, these guys aren't so bad.
I looked like a dog that had been drug out of the swamp, which wasn't too far off. And they're just kind of, oh, we got to dry them off and get them to bark again, you know? And
Well, everybody took you under their wing right away, and I thought that was real nice. And the people down there are very nice. Like I
Yes.
said, there's cultural difference, but it doesn't matter what color
was-
you are,
yes.
or anything like that.
Yep.
I mean, you do have your problems like you do
there
anywhere.
are, yes.
But the people down there are super nice.
Yep, and I had a great time. And then, you know, that takes us back to Chicago. I mean, because even in the times you were down there, I mean, I was down there with you for a while. You know, I tried to make a go of it. I failed miserably. I'm just not a city guy. I'll just admit that. You know, yes, what coulda, shoulda, woulda. But, I mean, I did have fun in the times we were down there. And one of the places we went was the Kingston Mines a lot. And there was some amazing acts in there. They had kind of a unique setup. They didn't just have one stage. They had 2 stages. How did they operate that? How did that work?
There was music going at all times. If they weren't playing on the one stage, they'd be playing on the other stage. And they had like closed circuit TV there wasn't enough room to get into the room that they were actually playing the music in. So you could be in the other room and be watching it on TV set. So there'd always be some music going. And me, knowing some of the people and everything, they'd, hey, Raj, did you bring your harmonica? Or Raj, don't play your harmonica. Either
You
way,
knew that, I'm sure.
but either way, a lot of times I got a chance to get up there and do some low down, rip your gut out blues with them, and it was a great time because these musicians, although nobody's ever heard of them, Sammy Fender, you know.
Oh, that guy was an amazing guy. Thank you for introducing to anyone that knows Sammy Fender. Just a legendary guy, legendary personality, right? I mean, just he was a unique guy, you know.
Right. Now, what did he say, Ray, when I thought that I left my coat on my chair and maybe he had it? What did he?
You and him had the same exact coat.
That's right, because we got him from the Kingston Mines and we
And-
thought we were cool.
And he did take your coat by accident, but you ended up with his coat. It was just the old switcheroo, you know? And you realized
but-
that, and you called him and told him, hey, listen, I got your coat, you got mine. It was the old switcheroo. And he goes, I didn't take your coat. I didn't. He swore up and down. He left this message. I didn't take your coat. I never had the coat. I never saw the coat. You know, I never had this coat. And then, so there was this big long message about that. And then ultimately he called back and goes, okay, I guess I do have the coat. Like, it was like 5 minutes later. he
But
left
the
a
way
mess-
Ray, you did it, Ray, you can sound just like
Well,
him.
no, I mean, yeah, he had a unique accent, you know. You know. But anyway, you know, I mean, he was a cool guy, and I mean, I just remember that he was just, he's winning
Great
this big
guitar
win.
player, wonderful guy. And as a lot of those stories go, Chico Banks, God rest his soul, one of the best guitar players I've ever heard in the world. Sammy
That guy
Fender,
was
he's still around,
amazing.
alive and kicking. But a lot of those guys, seriously, world-class talent, and most of them, I'm talking 90%, Mississippi, Louisiana, you know, all from down in that area, and they actually did not know how good they were. They're making $50.
They were humble and very,
You
yeah,
know,
they were
they're-
nice guys.
Nobody made any money, and I went down there and I'm working at the power plants and I'm doing electrical work and that type of thing, and I'm doing pretty good as far as making money and everything. But I got down there and I thought, why would I mean, unless you really love doing it and that type of thing,
Yeah.
you can't make any money doing this kind of work. And a lot of people that are musicians and everything know that, and I can see why they have the blues, because you immerse yourself into that and don't, I'm not trying to put it down or anything like that, because it's a lot of fun, but it's just hard to make any money doing it.
No.
So a lot of times, it's a
not
tough business, the music business.
It's not the mainstream. But I mean, to me, everyone's got their own kind of music. If you're into country, you love country, and a person listening to country from afar might say, it all sounds the same to me. They might, and a person who likes blues, you can hear the intricacies in the blues, but to a person who's not in the blues, that all sounds the same to me.
Boring, right?
And you really, if your heart's in it, you hear why you love it. It's a hard thing to explain, but I mean, you've definitely been a person who's broke through not just to me, but I think to like a lot of my friends and stuff. And kind of, because I mean, that's what I thought initially. I'm like, all these blues songs sound exactly the same. I can't tell the difference. But then you kind of started pointing out nuances like, hey, this guy's a real good guitar player. He's doing something unique with the guitar. Or they're mixing guitar and harmonica. They're doing two leads at once. I remember with Chico Banks, as you mentioned, who's passed away, and God rest his soul. He was just he was always friendly to me at the times. He was a younger guy too. I don't even know how old he was.
40 years old.
40 years old when he passed away. He did something amazing live that I never saw anyone do. Him and his whole band would do a simultaneous solo. The drummer was doing a drum solo, the guitar player, the bass player, they all did a solo at once, and it sounded unreal. I mean, the way they did it was amazing, and I never heard that before. And he just said, every time I would see him, I was like, you got to do that solo thing. He's like, you say that every time I see you, because I'd met him a few times, and that also kind of floored me that he remembered me, because I hadn't seen him. I saw him like maybe 2 years later, and I said, yeah, the guitar. He's like, you say that every time, and it was 2 years between the time I at last asked him about it, and I was like, he remembered that. Wow. I was probably like 22, 23.
Not just you, Ray, but I took my mom down there. God rest her soul. And I took her down there. Okay, Mom, come on down for Christmas and everything. I'm going to show you around and everything. I took her to some of the nice restaurants, and they had the minstrels coming around singing, because it was around Christmas, and they did the Christmas carols and that type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And they were all dressed up in the theater costumes. She loved that.
Oh, yeah.
But when I took her to these blues joints, I knew the people. I knew everybody from the waitresses and the blues musicians and everybody just the culture. And they came up and they just loved her. There she is with her fanny pack, and she thinks everybody is real big movie stars and big, celebrities and all that. And they're all signing her shirts, and I got her, Mom, you got to get a shirt here and all this stuff. I got her all this stuff and everything, and everybody's signing them, just everybody from the band, and she thought that was the greatest thing in the world. And everybody was just so friendly and into the moment of getting along with other people. So, people go to Chicago, boy, high crime. Oh man, I'll tell you right now, I don't know how you can go to Chicago and everything. Great people in Chicago.
Absolutely. I mean, the people that you introduced me to were all really amazing. Just really friendly. I mean, they almost kind of wanted to take you in under there, like, we need more people. I don't know, like they were, as long as like they're recruiting you. Come on, yeah, move here, move to Chicago, you love it.
Well, before I moved down there, I loved it when I was down there. I lived in several different places along the lake, and I just loved it, and I just, kind of, because I was working a regular job, needed to.
Right.
And all the blues guys, hey, can you get me a job, where you're at? And it was tough because they were great musicians, but they really didn't have any skills as far as, being mechanics or doing the electronics and that type of thing. So it was hard to work with it. But, I worked with a couple of the guys and everything, and they liked it. But when I went to some of these places down there, before I even moved down there, I had a Jeep Cherokee. I broke down right at Wabash and like Lake Street. And I thought, oh man, this is before I knew anything about Chicago. Oh, I'm in trouble here. This high crime area. I saw like 4 or 5 guys come up. They were, black guys, and they said, hey man, you have any trouble? They pushed me like 2 blocks to a Midas muffler joint there, and so I could get my car fixed.
Fresh to town.
Yeah, and I'm over there. hey, thanks you guys, thank you guys. Hey, here, I wanted to give them money.
Yeah, you're trying to give them money. Of course.
Now, it's not paradise. There's a lot of crime down there. I'm not trying to make it something that it isn't, but I'm just telling you, it's overblown, the crime, and you're going to have that in a lot of big cities and everything, but Chicago in general, at least back in the 90s and the 2000s and that, it was the little neighborhoods. Every neighborhood was like a little Elk Rapids.
Sure,
and the next one might be a Kalkaska, and the next one might be like a Charlevoix. They had little different, things about them, but they were just real nice places to visit, and everybody got along with each other. So, I thought it was great. I mean, it was even like going to different countries in a 3 square mile area. So I loved it, but I'm not there now because it's expensive.
Yes, I mean, you did live in the Marina City Towers. You had a little slice of the big city lit. What I don't know. I mean, because that's a known building, those Marina City Towers. And what people don't know, I mean, they're round buildings, so every apartment is a pie shape. You cannot get a square apartment in that building, can you?
No, because it all goes to the center, which is the elevators, and you just walk around the elevators, and then you go to the different apartments. But every one had a great big balcony, and some of the guys, some of your buddies came. I came, you came, and your buddies came.
People from Switzerland and stuff stayed out. Yeah,
and it wasn't big; it was just a studio, but everybody had a chance to fit in. And some of the musicians, that came. They were right in there with the blues, and I'm guaranteeing you, Brian Schramm, he got on stage at Buddy Guy's
and
joint,
he's a local guy,
a local guitar player.
Well, he's Michigan,
and he was so good that Buddy Guy's not normally in there, but he happened to be in the back room, and he heard him playing, and he actually came out and did some music with Brian Schramm.
Wow.
So to me, that was great because Brian is great. He can play blues. I mean, that's not his thing, but he is real good at any type of guitar, that he does try.
Yeah, that would have been cool to see. I mean, and that wasn't your first encounter with Buddy Guy either. I mean, you've had a few different. I mean, when was the first time you ever really got a chance to say hello to him?
In his old place, he used to have like a dive joint. I hate to say that, but it actually was like a dive joint, but it was right behind the Hilton there on Grant Park. And everybody and their brother, the Rolling Stones and all Eric Clapton, all those guys, that's the first, they wanted to go there. And they'd go down to the Checkerboard. I'd been down to the Checkerboard, and that was, dive joints. So, and I thought that was kind of cool. Now, the health department didn't like a lot. Back in the kitchens and everything, they had critics, but the music was great, and the feel of the place was great. But I'm over there drinking my PBR, Hey, what have you get? Whatever's cheap, give it to me. That's me, For some reason, I don't know what it is, but embarrasses Ray. Sorry, Ray. But anyhow, there's a guy sitting down there. I didn't know it at the time. It was Buddy Guy. So, hey, you're Buddy Guy. I kind of man. Listen, we're not talking about me. What you want to talk about your family? You want to talk, he wanted to talk about the other person.
That's
the
what he immediately
That's how
said.
He is. That's how he's just such a real nice guy. And I talked to him for a long time, about, family and about down south, that he loved talking about, down in the south and his family and that type of thing. And then I got a chance to play harmonica. I wasn't playing while he was on stage, but I played with another band. And hey, man, I'll tell you what, how to play that harmonica. That was a real big compliment to me. I got a T-shirt signed by him, which I cherish.
And you got one signed for me. I don't know if that was the time or not, but I still have the keep playing shirt.
And I took a girlfriend of mine in there with her sister and her husband and everything. We went down there. I said, and you're not expecting him in there. So he's sitting back in his he doesn't want anybody to even know he's in there.
Right.
And I'm over there, wait a minute. Hey, buddy, what are you doing? And he wanted to keep a low profile, but I said, hey, could you come out here and take a picture with me and my friends here? Which, he came out, and right after the picture was taken, bodyguards were around him because he's big now. He won a Medal of Honor, in Washington D.C. He was right in the same.
Oh, he's a legend. I mean, didn't actually Jimi Hendrix look to him as kind of a mentor?
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know everything about it, but
yeah, him and Ted Nugent.
Right.
The whole gang, they were all playing out in San Francisco.
And he has a really unique style. Like I say, if you're into blues, you can hear it. You can. I think I just pointed out a concert that I saw from the '70s. It was him and, was it Clarence Gatemouth Brown maybe? And then Muddy Waters.
Clarence, man, he is good. He played up here at Union Street Station.
But it was them, back probably in the mid '70s doing a concert, and it was one of the most unique blues performers. I mean, Muddy Waters came out as a token performer. He was only out there for 2 or 3 songs. This is an hour-long concert. These guys really were the show,
Right.
It was amazing. He can do anything, and it just had a unique sound. It's cool that you kind of got to meet him and he heard you play, harmonica.
Not only that, Bo Diddley, same thing. Bo Diddley, super nice guy. In fact, he was back in the day and he always did his thing and he never got real big or anything, but everybody knows Bo Diddley.
No, he got big.
Well, I mean, he wasn't
The Bo
doing
Diddley
amphitheaters
beat, right?
and the whole works. But what I'm saying, anybody that knew music respected him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh, for sure.
But he started to do it. He says, I'm going to do something for the young people in here. This was at Buddy Guy's place. And he was doing a rap song, a blues rap song. And it was a song that was a rap song that sounded good. And it actually was telling them to stay in school, not to get in trouble, and I loved it. You know what I mean? It wouldn't have fit the mainstream rapping or anything like that. But heck, he was old at the time.
Oh, right.
He died, a couple of years later. But I mean, he had a real good heart, and he was a very good musician and made those cool guitars, those cigar box guitars.
I mean, even George Thorogood talks about the Bo Diddley beat, right? I mean, it's like a main influence,
Yeah.
I mean,
a lot of people.
There we go. Hey, we got the harmonica out here. This is live in concert, everybody.
Bo Diddley, have you heard? Mama gonna buy you a mockingbird. Well, if that mockingbird don't sing, I'm probably gonna buy you a diamond ring.
Hey, that's the Bo Diddley beat right there. Hey, live in concert, everybody. You're hearing it here. The freaking Caskey Lodge just erupted right now. Denise is just freaking clapping her hands over her head. Hey, Ronnie loves it. Even Ricky's over here with a smile on his face. Jeez, oh, Beats, you got this place lived up and and that's the kind of effect blues has on people. I mean, if you're sitting there in a place and there's no music, it's complete silence, and all of a sudden you hear this harmonica go off. I will say, it can kind of fire you up a little bit, I mean, so I appreciate you doing it. I mean, and especially after the fact that we know your Buddy Guy quality and Bo Diddley quality there, for sure.
Well, no, not even close. But I'll tell you right, I wanted to tell Denise because she still doesn't believe me that I used to look good.
She's rolling her eyes.
Do you even remember it? I mean, do you remember when I used to look good, or
me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. A lot of people don't. I wanted to carry like a wallet-sized photo of me when I was like 18 or 20, just to prove it, But for some reason, nobody ever believes me that I used to look good. I don't know why.
Hey, I mean, they're gonna have to dig up some pictures. They're gonna have to do a deep dive on Google and trying to see what they can come up with. Right? Maybe someone can Photoshop some stuff. I don't know.
Hard to prove.
Hey, you did all right. Whatever in your time. I'm not gonna rate people's looks, but we'll say that. One thing that always kind of interests me, and I know very, very little about this part of your history. I've seen a few pictures, and I don't even know if the picture still exists. But early on, you got into Golden Glove boxing. Somehow, you just decided, I'm gonna be a competitor.
You saw pictures?
I saw a picture of you in the ring.
Because I know I had some pictures, but I can never find them.
I can't find them either, but
that was Milton Burton. I was fighting Milton Burton at the Toledo Sports Arena, and that had to be 1972, I'm guessing, but it was with the Golden Gloves, and it was in the semifinals.
So, I mean, you're right out of high school.
Right. I graduated in 71, so it was 72. And everybody else, we played football, we played basketball, we did all the sports, which, okay, cool, boy, I like doing them. And, I'm going to do, your senior year, unless you're going to go to college or anything like that, you're kind of dying off, You'd rather be out there in the stands with a nice looking girl,
That's right.
Than out there, screwing around out there in November on the field, But anyhow, it was a lot of fun and everything. But then afterwards, hey, I think I'm going to get into this boxing, because I was working with a guy that was a Toledo police officer.
Oh, wow.
And he was involved with a gym. He actually worked with Olympians, that were boxers and stuff like that. And he said, hey, you ought to come down and do some boxing. And then he said, I used to box, which he did. He boxed pro for, a few fights. But, he was worse than me. He said, I used to box. And I said, oh, really? And he said, yeah, oranges for Sunkist.
Hey-oh!
And that's another reason Ray gets embarrassed.
You never know when these punchlines are going to hit people.
Do not tell any
Stick
jokes
with us
when my
here.
friends come over.
You got to pay attention when you're listening to the Rollreecepodcast. You never know where it's going to hit you from.
So anyhow, I wanted to get one of those coats. I did get the coat. I don't know if I'm going to give it to Ray. Don't know if to Roll.
I remember it was the black with the white sleeves, and it had the golden gloves on it.
Yep. And I never should have laid underneath the car with it. Fixing my muffler, but it's actually in pretty good shape.
Yeah. I mean, at the time, you got to do what you got to do. You got to fix that muffler.
Right. But anyhow, I did the boxing thing, and that's a great way to go, because I guarantee you, when you get one-on-one in the ring with another person, and, you're going to be hitting each other, in a strategic manner. Hopefully you can do the drunken brawl thing, or you can actually try to, manipulate the other person so that you can win the fight. It's a real challenge. So I had a lot of fun doing that.
I mean, there is a strategy there that people don't even think about.
Oh, yeah. And like I say, if you get too angry or if you get too desperate, sometimes it doesn't work out in your favor.
It almost seems like it's kind of about maintaining like a clear thought process
Right.
while you're getting hit in the head.
Right. And if they can get you off of that thought process, that gives them the advantage.
Right. Now, how many fights did you fight in total?
I only fought 7 fights, and I won 5.
Now, is that a season? I mean, I don't understand how it works.
That was the whole season where you started training, and then I fought in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Kendallville, Indiana, Monroe, Michigan, different areas around Toledo, Ohio.
Okay.
And then the finals were in Toledo,
Now,
Ohio.
was it like you're in a bowling league? Is that what it was like? I mean, you just sign up and you're in?
it was where so many people were involved in it, and the coaches would get together and they'd put on a boxing match, a show, and then you'd go to a gymnasium or you'd go to something like that where you would have so many boxers, and they'd try to match you up equally. Like they
wanted to be a good fight.
My coach was 3 times national champ. He was he was like a 110 pounder, but he won 3 times, and the finals used to always be in Chicago. But you had to win in Toledo to go to the finals. But he always matched me with people that were equal, somewhat equal. So at least when I got in there, I had a chance, So,
I'm not going to make this one of the guys that just gets totally pummeled every time.
Right.
Was there like a Rocky kind of vibe around there? I mean, was there an old guy that was kind of crusty, kind of yelling at you?
Yep, and he was always trying to prove himself.
Did he have a nickname? Or
he was a referee.
I mean, he can't be alive now if he was old then. I mean, not to say old.
By old, I mean he was 40.
Oh, okay.
When I was, 18 or 19. But anyhow, he loved to get in there and listen, you guys back one, because he used to box and he was, in fairly good shape for his age and everything. But he loved to get in there, and once you got in there with him, listen, yeah, I'll spar with you, but he would nail you.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The guy knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So you had to really be careful when you got in there
He
with him.
knew what you were doing for you were going to do
Right.
it, probably.
Oh yeah, and I never got knocked out. I've never got knocked out, but he hit me in the chest when I was sparring with him, and it took the wind out of me for like, you're thinking you can only hold your breath for like, a minute.
Yeah.
It seemed like 2 minutes. I'm still trying to get my breath because he hit me, and the reason. You're keeping your hands too far apart. Keep your hands in close. Okay. So I kept my hands too far apart, and he put one right between my hugging hands into my chest.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
okay. So, yep. Over to the ropes I went. Now don't even mess with me. Don't talk to me.
Right. Right.
I mean, that was. I'll never forget.
I mean,
that.
you were literally on the ropes.
That was
He
on
put
the
you
ropes,
on the
not
ropes.
breathing.
That's right.
That's the kind of stuff that can stop your heart.
So,
And I'm
so
thinking-
what led to you get? Is that one of the things that kind of led to you getting out of it? I mean, were you just doing it on a lark, or I mean, were you actually interested
No,
in it?
no.
or-
But the thing of it is, after that, I had lung problems. And now you'll
Oh,
hear
boy.
this from all the Rockies. Man, I could have been a contender.
He could have been somebody.
No. But what I'm saying is that it reduced my lung function for some reason.
Yeah.
And then the third, if I didn't knock him out in the first or second round, I was struggling by the third round because I was starting to get, where I couldn't breathe so good.
Anyone who was analyzing you knew your weakness.
Right.
Oh, boy.
Right. But nobody, I mean, I didn't have that many fights, and it
Yeah.
was no big deal. But the only thing is, it was a lot of fun because at that, the finals, 1,000 people in there. And I'm not kidding you. There was, 1,000 people in there, probably 20, if that, were white people. Okay. And
Okay.
I'm not trying to make this into a race. I'm just
No.
saying that's just the character it had back
That's
then.
where you were fighting.
And
That's
that
the-
was back during the time.
And now
a
is
lot
this
of
in
times-
Toledo, Detroit?
Toledo, Ohio.
Okay.
But Detroit was, it was back, there was some turbulence back then. And you
Right.
know what? No, everybody was just so nice to me and friendly to me and good sportsmen. The guys that I beat, boy, I'll tell you right now, you did, you had me there, and the guys that beat me, the one guy that beat me, only one guy beat me. I beat Milton Burton, but then I lost to Tim Harris. He played for DeVilbiss. He was a football player, but he boxed too. And he said, man, he was, trying to be nice to me probably. You know what I mean? Man, I thought you had me there in the second round because I was hitting her hard. I'm a kind of a barroom brawler. Finesse guys would always beat me.
Yeah.
You know.
They're winning by decision.
Right. And nah, man, come on, you had me, you know it. And but just real good sportsmen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And nobody acted like they were tough dudes,
Right.
You know what I mean? 'Cause
No one had a real ego. They knew they could be beat as easily as they could beat someone. I mean, there's
Yep.
always someone tougher, right? Isn't that the saying?
Yep.
Or one of them?
It's all about respect.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and I wish more people just did that in their day-to-day life. You know what I mean? When just saying hello and stuff like that seems that, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm getting a little older where I'm sounding like, people don't even say hello anymore, and they're probably just not saying hello to me. You know what I mean?
I heard that in one of your previous podcasts. I forget what one it was.
It was the one about where I talked about going through the drive-through window,
Yeah.
and the girl said I was her favorite customer, and I was the first one that said hello to her. It was 1 p.m. They'd been open since 11. In that amount of time, no one said hello to her. How many customers must have went through there? Probably 20, 50, maybe more.
Uh-huh.
I mean, what are we doing here? Or I don't even know.
Proud, Ray. Never been more prouder of you. And I'll tell you right now, because that deals with respect. And anytime.
And by the way, I did not get her name, but a dude did come out and thank me for also saying hello, and it's Colin from Taco Bell, and this guy's actually got a voice for radio, but he actually came out and said, hey man, he's got a real. He could almost be like on the jazz station, something like, "Hey man, thanks a lot for saying that." Like he. I just want to give a shout out to him, and I don't know who that girl. I never did get your name. You know what I mean? I did say hello, and we talked briefly.
Well, you know how I like to ham it up, right? Sometimes,
Yeah.
So you know me.
Right.
I can't help it sometimes. But anytime, so I'd go up there. You're on the speaker. Hello, could I help you? Yep. I'll dig a burrito. And on the side, give me a cinnamon twist. You know, and then when you got up there, they'd kind of wonder, you know, wait a minute.
Is this guy sane?
But I never got discounts for doing that. Right?
No, there are no discounts to be had. I mean, they're just workers there. They're not the owners. But no, I mean, there is something to be said just for being. This is almost something I kind of feel like saying on every podcast, you know. And you know, let's have a resurgence and just saying hello. I almost feel like I'm like Uncle Leo from Seinfeld. I don't know if you remember Seinfeld's uncle, but hello. You at least gotta say hello, like at the very least. Right. You know, hello is the very least. Now, you know, this is back when you were living in Toledo. One of the places I heard you mention is Reno Beach. Is that
Ray, that's where you were born.
Okay, so that is the name of the road, or is that the name
Reno
of the...
Beach is a little community.
Okay, because I was there till I was 7, you know. And we're back. All right, so anyway, we're talking about Reno Beach, yeah. So I, you know, the name's always been with me. I was there till I was 7, from born to 7. You know, I remember very little about it, you know. So it was kind of a unique neighborhood because it was a part of a dike that was built, right, to keep the
Yes, in fact, it was called Dike Road. It's a road that because it.
But there was no beach.
Well, because it flooded all the time. By the time we bought it, the Army Corps of Engineers came through, and there was sandstone quarries all around that area, and they had a 1.5 mile area. They built up with sandstone. You know, then they put
huge boulders.
Right. And
I mean, to a little kid, they seemed to. I don't know how big they actually were.
Well, they had geotex. They had like gravel and smaller rocks, and then they had geotextile fiber. Then they had those great big boulders on top, which you guys loved to crawl around in.
The way they laid these boulders created, and this probably was dangerous. You know, I don't know, but there was tons of caves and crevices. If you're a kid, you could almost go 100 yards underneath these boulders. You could go underground for a long way because of all these little cracks and crevices, because these boulders were huge. And we had different parts, you know, like Creepy Vine, you know, we'd call it because there were vines in it, or, you know,
names for
Marblehead and all this different stuff we had, you know, named, let's go for the, and all the neighborhood kids knew, you know, let's meet at Marblehead at noon, you know, if your mom will let you or whatever, you know. So yeah, that was kind of a unique situation. I remember that. But now the dock, how did that work? You had to build a ramp.
Boy, I'll tell you, that was something. See, that was back in the day. I was working 12-hour days, and I was still coming home and, you know, doing work around the house and that type of thing. But I had a sledgehammer, and I was beating on the limestone, and the limestone that they came out of the pits. And at first, I'm hitting them, and I'm busting them up a little bit. I'm in good shape.
Yeah.
But then finally, I took a little chisel, and I could use a sledgehammer, and if you strategically placed the hits, the thing would just shatter because there was fossils in it and everything else.
Yeah.
So once I discovered that, a lot less energy, and then I flattened it out on top because it was 8 feet high.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
And then I dropped it down so that everything was all level, and then I started putting my deck in, you know, as far as the 4x4s and everything.
Yeah.
Then we had a nice deck. And then I had stairs going down because Lake Erie will get rough.
Oh, yes. I remember seeing spray, even though as high as this wall was, there was a reason for it. They made it that big for a reason, because this spray and these waves were huge. Probably 30-footers at times, you know. I don't know if there were 60-footers.
I'm telling you, Ray wasn't even a year old, and he was in that water.
Oh, yeah. There are pictures of it.
Yep. He was a cute little kid. He's cute now, but he was even cuter then.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know. I mean, I can't compete with that kid, but, you know, I did learn to swim at an early age, because I remember, that's one thing I didn't remember clearly is I remember being down in the water and stuff, and our dock was really high off the water. I remember that.
6 foot.
It was on a pier or something.
Yeah, because I made tees. I had these tees welded, galvanized, to the jetty. There's a jetty there.
The jetty,
like a
that's what
steel
it-
wall
yeah.
that goes
It
perpendicular.
helped with the erosion. The erosion was a huge problem, apparently.
Right.
I mean, they did a
And,
lot of work there.
Yep, but boy, we were catching some walleye.
Yes.
Woo-hoo. I mean, perch.
Yeah, there
You
was
guys
fish
have done
fries all the time. I do
I'd come
remember
in
that.
with those perch off the ice and do some ice fishing. Come in with a little bit, some perch. The kids, Ray and Bry, man, they were just like little robins. As soon as they came out of the fryer, they were ready to start eating. those
Love that
perch.
fish,
Oh,
still
man, it
do.
was good.
And I mean, an odd memory. I don't even know. And I told you about this. I was like, one odd memory I have of living there is you got us, you know, as I was probably 5 years old, you got us a little pup tent, and we would go out and just, as kids do, as long as we were within the yard, you kind of knew where we were. You know, he's out in his pup tent, you know, and we'd fall asleep out there and stuff in the pup tent. And we had our dog Shadow, right?
Right.
So what would happen is Shadow would come along and he'd kind of like try and nuzzle up to you, but you know, like anyone else to do, you have to go number 2 at some point. And he went number 2 right outside the door of the pup tent. I mean, right outside.
Yeah.
So I remember as a little kid crawling out of the pup tent, and my hand just went squarely. There was probably a little kid handprint right in the middle of this pile of dog poop. And I remember just picking my hand up and running into the house crying to Mom. And so she's got this little kid running at her with poop on his hand.
Nobody likes
She's probably
that.
thinking, oh my God. You know, get this kid away from me. You know, but no, she got my hand and put it under the sink real quick. You know, what I mean?
wow.
Rinse the dog poop off. But you know, other than that, I don't remember a whole lot. I remember we had the neighborhood kids. You know, I
That's a
remember
real
Robbie.
memory there, Ray.
Oh God, that's probably why I remember it. It was so traumatizing at the
Man.
time. You know.
That is the perfect memory for radio.
Oh.
Is this radio? Is it?
I
what-
guess
what's this
they would call
considered?
it a podcast. You know, it's just whoever wants to listen to it, and you know, it's not really. I guess it's. I don't know. I guess it
we're
kind
not.
of.
Are we under FCC regulations?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
don't think we're under any real regulations.
Because I wasn't going to use any foul language anyhow.
Well, you know what I mean. You're so far it's been
I've
within.
heard you use it before, and I didn't like
I
it.
have, you know, and you know it happens. You know, I'm a real person talking real language here. You
Well,
know,
the one
how we-
person
how we
I
talk.
haven't heard use any foul language, and I've been very proud of him, was Ben Nagy.
Oh, you know, we'll get him back on
you
here.
talk about polite.
We'll
That's
get
a
him
polite-
back on here swearing up a storm, I'm sure. But
Proud of him. Proud of him.
But you know, and one of the things that you know I kind of know about you is that you went down south for a while too. You ended up after Chicago. You kind of decided, hey, I'm going to go down and see what you know the Gulf Coast has to offer. Tell me a little bit about that. What led you to go do that?
Well, I'll tell you, Ray, up in Chicago, I had a good time, and I started getting kind of cocky. You know, hey, listen, I can do this. I'm out
Oh,
of this
yeah.
thing. You know, so I think, and the guys, you know, they're, hey, you ought to go to St. Louis, you ought to go to, you know, Memphis and all this. So I did. And when I did it like I wanted to be a local, and I had these cards. So before I got to the cities, I'd be like, you know, 20 miles outside the city, and I'd call these phone numbers. Hey, so-and-so, Sammy Fender sent me, you know, whoever sent me. And I play harmonica. You got anything going this weekend? You know, because I do it, you know, try to do it right before a weekend. And they'd let me come in and sit in and stuff, and that went good. You know, that went good and everything. But the scene was what meant everything. I mean, playing the harmonica, because I'd be 20 miles out. You know what I mean? And I'd be saying, I'm going in to do some blues there. And,
Yes.
you know, and the people at that bar, I'd be playing there at that bar, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and everybody was having a good old time and having good old food and everything. And then I'd go in, back when I had a higher energy level.
Right,
You know,
right.
And I could go in there and I could play, you know, goof around till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And a lot of times I'd end up staying at some of these people's houses and everything. And don't get me wrong, you had some bad deals going on
Yeah.
where things didn't really.
Yeah.
You know, you're sleeping in your truck. You're
Right.
sleeping at somebody's house that you don't know. You know, that type of thing. I mean, you have to be kind of aware of what's around with you.
Right,
You know,
right.
you know, going on. But everything went great. Everything went great. And then finally, I got down to New Orleans, and I was 30 miles out in the middle of nowhere, a bayou. I see a channel. There's
No one by you.
no one was bayou at that point. And I'm seeing gay, because I'm thinking muskrats. You know, up here. Is that a muskrat? No, little
Neutral.
alligators. Yeah. and I go to this little all there is like there's a silo there. It was like sugar cane. It was a sugar cane area, and nobody around, and I had to do my laundry. Okay, so I pulled into the laundromat, go in there. This place, it was just a cement block building, nothing there, and I went in, and there's one guy in there, and he's doing some laundry, and I says, hey, where do you get the change at? There's no change machine. He says, you got to go over to the bar. Okay. I'm up, the bar was only a block away. And so I go over there and, hey, I need some change. And I'm drinking, beer and everything. And I go back and I said, hey, what are you doing over here? He was a trustee from the local prison. Nice guy and everything. You don't know anything about him. Next thing I know, he said he'd do my laundry. I gave him $5, $10, whatever it was, and all the quarters and everything. And I went back to that bar. And it was all Cajuns, all these Cajun women. They're tall, black hair and everything. Very nice. They took me under their wing. They said, don't go in there, because it was Mardi Gras time. Don't go into New Orleans. I said, listen, I came all the way down here. I'm going to do the New Orleans thing, so what's the best way to go? So they gave me the routes to go and everything, so that was great. And I'm playing the harmonica. Next thing I know, they made some phone calls, and that place was packed. And you had other musicians in there playing guitars, playing banjos, and we had a great time. And then I headed into New Orleans, and all hell break loose.
The very place they told you not to go.
Right. And that's a whole nother story, Ray. I can't go into that. But it was a great time. Got together with Dr. John, didn't know who he was.
Amazing guy, just passed away here recently.
Yep,
I mean, that was a loss for sure. And I don't even think he was that old. He lived, though.
And these guys, I'm telling you.
He lived at the right place at the right time.
Yep.
For those who know Dr. John, that's one of his songs. But oh man, well, I can definitely say this. Coming up on the hour here, I can't believe it's already almost been an hour that we've been talking here. How about another little song? We do have some time here. If you can improv anything, you got anything off the top, or just a instrumental, whatever you got.
You want blues?
Yeah, blues.
Beat or what?
No, blues, man. Just straight up.
You
blues.
want to bleed a little bit?
Yeah, make it bleed a little bit. Give us some room.
I'm looking at the bars here.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm looking at the bars on this video thing here. Well, all I want is a little bit of peace. That's why I hang out with a man called Rollreece. Well, he's got a little show going down at the Casky Bar. Anybody can come down and be a star.
Again, once again, the Cascade Lodge is lighting up down there. I mean, everyone is just loving it. We got a few spectators.
Thank you.
Everyone loves it. Denise, Ronnie's loving it. Ricky's over here clapping. And man, what a great afternoon here at the Cascade Lodge. I mean, the sun is still shining out there. I mean, the weather's turning for us. We got spring here in Kalkaska. And next week we're gonna have the Trout Festival. I'm almost thinking I got to do something for Trout Festival. So I'm still kind of working on that. We'll figure it out. The Caskey Lodge is in proximity to parades and stuff like that.
Remember, you had Larry McRae last year.
Oh, man, and that guy is amazing. I can't say enough about him and his band. I mean, they are world
Saginaw,
class.
Michigan.
World class. And he's actually up here on the Q. I'll give a shout out to the Q. They're one of my favorite stations around here. He's does a blues show on.
I did not know.
And
that.
yeah, he's around here, and he I think Ray's Barbecue and Blues. I'll even give them a shout.
You're kidding me. Okay.
So yeah, I mean I'm looking forward to when things turn around and everyone's vaccinated and things whatever get back to normal.
Hey, I'm vaccinated.
Yes, and you are fully vaccinated. That's right. How'd that go? One and done?
I'm neutral on it. I don't care. I wear a mask if they require one. I'm not going to argue with anybody. I don't care about it. Don't think you need it or anything. But hey, I'm no doctor. But anyhow, I come out of the farm market down there in the strip mall down by the marijuana shops, and I see over at Family Fair, vaccines. Okay, what the heck? So I walk in there. I'm thinking like you. Just walk in, get a shot, and get out of there. No, you got to go on the internet. So then I had to go on the internet and register, but they had an opening the next day, and it was the J&J. Oh, one shot and done, one and done.
Right.
Hey, no problem. That's So I did that, and then about 4 or 5 days after that,
blood clots.
Never worried me. Never worried me.
I can say it.
You gotta
just by looking at you, you don't look like you have blood clots. I don't know exactly if that's a way to tell or not, but you don't look like you have any blood clots in your system.
I got that little red spot in my eye.
Oh, wait a minute.
Okay,
What's going on there?
Yeah, okay.
Uh-oh. Yeah, we might be clotting up.
Oh,
here.
wait a minute. Okay, no, that's not it. That might be drinking. Okay.
Well, hey, I really appreciate you coming down and talking to me and hanging. Of course, I knew you always wanted to. I'm glad I talked about you on the first episode. I always knew you, and we're going to have you back. I want to have more like maybe me, you, and Nags and some panels and some different
I love your upbeat program. You got an upbeat program?
Hey, we're trying to keep it positive and have a good time here at the Caskey Lodge.
Because at no time during the whole podcast did you ever say, nobody likes your jokes.
That's right. I wouldn't say that. I mean, I'll let the people decide now. It doesn't have to be me. I'll just say, hey, if there's a comment made about the bad joke, it won't be by me. How about that? Okay. But hey, this has been another very cool and very fun episode of the Rollreecepodcast here from the Caskey Lodge. I'd like to definitely thank my guest, my dad, Roger Strauss, for being here. Those are some amazing stories. There's more to tell, and we'll keep going with that. I'd like to thank Ronnie, my host here, my sponsor at the Caskey Lodge. Denise, as always, thank you very much. He's over here clapping. Denise,
yeah.
And, my intern, Ricky, he's still hanging in there. I mean, at some point,
Thank you, Ricky, for the beer.
Your internship's over here this spring, but he said he's going to keep showing up. So I guess, Ricky, I guess for all that I've yelled at you and all I've done, hey, I appreciate you, man.
That's not good to yell at Ricky. Ricky,
okay?
I think you're a good guy.
Okay. All right. And, thanks everyone for listening, and we will talk to you next week.